Do you go home exhausted every day after work and not having enough energy to be who you want to be in every other area of your life? This is something that, as I continue to work with people, they tell me all the time. It's not just that. Sometimes you get up and you've had a good night's sleep and you still don't have a lot of energy. And about 9 or 10 o'clock, you don't feel like you've been rested at all. Well, stick with me, because this week I want to help you with some key strategies on how to shift this. Hi, this is Grant Herbert, leadership and sustainable performance coach. And today I want to continue our conversation around the shift in our productivity by helping you to manage your energy. Over the last few weeks, we've been talking about that old chestnut, productivity. And we've made sure that we dispelled some rumors and got rid of some old teachings that weren't serving us. You cannot manage time. It's not within your control. And yet, it's the thing that everybody focuses on. Time management. I don't have enough time. That in itself creates a lot of overwhelm, which reduces your productivity. So we talked about the fact that we're not going to manage time. We're going to manage, firstly, our expectations. And we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. The expectations of self as well as the expectations of others. And we talked about last week managing our environment and making sure it was conducive to getting things done. Today, I want to finish this conversation around this shift by talking about a finite resource, and that is your energy. For me, this is the key thing that I want to manage and that I teach others to do the same, to enable you to go from that high performance burnout to sustainable performance, to enable you to get more done, but then still have enough energy left at the end of the day to be who you want to be for every other part of your life. Work is not your life. Work is not something you need to balance with your life. It's just a part of life. And I know from personal experience and from working with many people just like you, that it can become that. It can become all-encompassing and take over your life. So that's why I feel like being able to share what it is that I went through and how I made this shift is going to help you. Most leaders I work with are sleep deprived. They're fuel deficient. They're not eating correctly, if at all, during the day. A big one is brain dehydration, where they're not taking in any water, and that can lead to burnout. That can lead to that sense of, I don't think I can do this anymore. And I've been there. And if you followed me at all, you would have heard my story of my physical and mental burnout. And that left me unable to help anybody. So the motive that I got up and went and served people every day with was to help them. I got myself to a position by the way that I was doing it that I couldn't help anybody, including myself. So we want to do things differently. We want to make sure that we exercise self-care, that we fit our own mask first before looking after everybody else, that we are fuel efficient by putting good stuff in, by taking care of our body, by being brain friendly, by keeping it hydrated and keeping it optimized and using it in a way that is going to allow you to get the most out of yourself. So this whole area of professional leadership that I talk about is about you being able to get results from your own efforts. So let's do what we can to make sure that you optimize the use of your energy so that you can not only get done what you need to get done each day, you can still feel good and have energy left to do other things. And you can avoid the statistics of burnout, which is so prevalent around the world again right now. So to do this, I want to introduce you to 7 key strategies that I've adopted, that I learnt from other professionals and mentors that help me to get back on track and to be able to get more done without this thing called burnout. Now, I need to let you know that I'm a work in progress in every single one of these, just like you will be. There are still reasons why we do things the way that we do, that psychological underlying issue that we've talked about before. So it's a work in progress. And it's not a dichotomy where you go from having low energy to having high energy. It's a game that you play every single day, and it's about consistency. So what I want you to do today as you listen to me is I want you to pick one thing that you can start working on today, and then incrementally increase your capacity in each of these areas. It's not about taking on another 7 things that you have to do, because that's going to sap your energy as well. So let's go. The first one is to match your peaks. Everyone is different. Some people are morning people, some people are evening people, some people are in the middle of the day, and some people tend to be able to go all day. I'm a morning person. My wife, for example, is exactly the opposite. So matching your peaks means that when you know that you're energetically at your best, that's the time to make sure, where possible, that you do things that are going to take energy, where you are set up to be able to do those things. And then when your peak is not at the top, you're able to do those lesser intensive activities. So match your peaks. Now, I also know that when you do that, it's not able to be used all the time because other people are involved and we sometimes need to do things at a certain time. It's not like being able to go, well, hey, I'll come to work in the morning and I'll go home in the afternoon, because that doesn't give you a collaborative team environment. However, where you can, I want you to match your peaks and utilize that high level of energy to get more done in your day. The second thing is really important, and that's do one thing at a time. You know, it's like driving down the road and texting. It doesn't get you where you want to go. You go off the road. Doing one task at a time, focusing not just physically but mentally on one thing, means that you're going to be able to get more done. Multitasking is not a good strategy. It's been proven that multitasking, doing more than one thing at a time, actually decreases productivity by a minimum of 40%. Your brain is designed to focus on one complex task at a time. Yes, you can walk and talk and breathe and your heart pumps all at once. What we're talking about here is you needing focused energy to get something done. That needs to be one thing at a time. The third one is the principle of done, not perfect. If you are a perfectionist and that is linked to a performance trap, approval addiction, then sometimes you'll invest more energy into a particular activity than you need to. And we're not just talking about physical, we're talking about emotional, we're talking about mental energy here. You know, it's like you go to the supermarket and they have that basket over here that has the imperfect vegetables and fruit in it. They still have the same nutrition. They still can go into the same recipes. They just don't look the same. It doesn't stop them from giving you their full value. For some of you, 80% needs to be your new 100%. And I'm not talking about going away from a spirit of excellence. I'm talking about shifting from perfection to progress. Number 4 is to become a sprinter. Now, it's a different type of sprinting. We're not talking about running around the office here and seeing who can get the best times. That's going to take a little bit more of my energy that I might want to give away. What we're talking about here is a different type of sprint. The brain has the ability to focus for about 50 minutes, plus or minus, depending on who you are and depending on how you're looking after it. So becoming a sprinter is all about investing 50 minutes into an activity where you're totally focused on the activity at the exclusion of everything else, both physically and mentally. And then at the end of that 50, you take a 10-minute slot to shift your environment and do something different, which is a totally different activity. So we're not necessarily talking about a 10-minute break here, but what you are doing is taking a 10-minute break from that focus and concentration on that one task. You know, what I love to do when I'm doing this is use that time to, walk out and get a glass of water, go to the bathroom, check my, messages if that's appropriate. If I'm working in with my team, to check in with one of my team members, something that's a different activity, and then come back to that main activity that I was working on and focusing again on another 50 minutes. At the end of that, to do another 10, do another 50, and then do a 30. Where now you're sort of in the middle of the day where you need to have more fuel and a little bit more of a break. Now, the one key that I want you to take away with this as well is that in those 10 minutes, that will depend on your discipline level, what you choose to do. Where possible, avoid going into emails, because if you're someone who will then get stuck physically or mentally on what's going on in those emails, you're not able to come back and get onto that other task, it's not going to help you. But become a sprinter and you'll get more done. Number 5 is to replenish regularly. If you're driving a high-performance car, it could be the best car in the world. But if you don't put fuel in it and top up all the other levels, it's going to be just like a small car that definitely wasn't designed for high performance. And you're the same. So because your energy is not an infinite resource, you've got to be able to replenish as well. So taking those breaks, making sure that you hydrate and that you take in fuel. That also, beyond that physical, you be careful what you allow to go in your ears and in your mind. Keep the negative out and replenish with positive. Putting yourself in that space will allow you to get more done. Number 6 is to reset intention. Now, this really helps when you've been distracted, because let's face it, that's going to happen. It also helps when you're doing the 50-10 sprints to be able to come back and reset your intention on what it is that you were doing or you need to do now. I used to think a lot of this stuff was woo-woo and it was out there, but let me tell you, having practiced it now for many, many years, a simple activity like closing your eyes, taking 3 deep breaths in and out, and on the third breath, breathing out anything that you were thinking about that's going to hold you back from giving that task that you're on 100% of your focus. You let it go. It also calms the vagus nerve and does a lot of other things, but just reset intention. This is what my purpose is in this next period of bandwidth of energy. I'm going to give it to this and nothing else. And number 7 is to reflect and then realign. So looking at what you may have heard called a time and space activity, where you reflect on what you got done. You reflect on what you didn't get done. However, doing it in a way that's forward focused. It's not about going, another day where I didn't get things done. That is going to deplete your energy as well. It's about going, hey, what did I get done? Why did I get that done? What did I focus on? What techniques and strategies allowed me to get that stuff done? And then exactly the same thing with the things that didn't get done. And then realign them in your day. I love to use a thing called buffer time, where I've got a blocked out period of time that helps me to know that I've got a contingency. So it's not about cramming everything in and having a high expectation of myself to get everything done. So you can see now how these 7 strategies will only work if you take the strategies around expectations and environment and put them in place as well. So there you have 7 key strategies that you can use so that you have more energy and you get more done. And as I said, you go home at the end of the day feeling like there's enough left in reserve to be able to be who you need to be in every area of your life. You can avoid being one of those statistics of burnout by shifting the way that you think about and then do things in your day. Well, that's it from me for another week. Join me again next week as we continue our conversation in the 9 crucial shifts for every leader to take by helping you to become more resilient, but in a healthy way. I'll see you then.